Hey everyone, and welcome back to Love Hackers. I'm Alex Carter.
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
We're dating experts here to, serve up your daily dose of dating advice. And today's deep dive is, I'd say it's pretty juicy. We're going to be talking about hookup apps and sites.
Oh, yeah, it's a jungle out there, that's for sure. And, with social distancing pushing so many connections online, if you're looking for a good time, a reliable hookup app is more crucial now than ever.
Yeah, definitely. It's not easy to navigate this whole digital dating landscape. And honestly, a lot of apps out there are just not it.
Exactly. You've got all these options, but so many of them don't even have enough users to make it worthwhile. You just end up scrolling through the same 5 profiles over and over again. It's like a dating desert.
I love that dating desert. And that's where this deep dive gets interesting. We came across some research from this team that went above and beyond. They spent months testing over 100 different hookup apps.
Wow, that's dedication.
I know, right? To find the ones that actually deliver.
It's like they went on a dating app odyssey just for us.
I know, right? And what's so fascinating is they didn't just, browse around. They went full-on investigative journalist on these apps. They used both the free and paid versions, sent tailored messages, and even went on dates to compare the results.
So basically, they did all the hard work for us. So instead of you wasting time on apps that are all hype and no action, we can cut straight to the good stuff. We're going to be talking about their top 3 picks for hookup apps that actually work.
Okay, drumroll, please. The winners are Adult Friend Finder, Tinder, and Passion. Let's break these down one by one.
Absolutely. Let's start with Adult Friend Finder, or AFF as it's known, in the industry.
In the industry. Okay, so what makes AFF so special? Besides the fact that it's been around since the dawn of dial-up?
Well, for starters, it has a massive user base, over 60 million active members worldwide. But more importantly, AFF is incredibly upfront about its purpose. It's for hookups, period.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with AFF. No pretending to be a relationship app in disguise.
Exactly, and this directness really seems to resonate with users, particularly men. The research team actually found that regular guys, those who aren't necessarily male model material, had a surprisingly high success rate on AFF.
Now that's interesting. Why do you think that is?
Well, it seems like AFF attracts people who are looking for real connections without all the pretense and games. They appreciate the honesty and the open approach to sex.
That makes sense. You're cutting through all the BS and getting straight to the point. All right, so AFF is great for those who value transparency and a large active user base. But what about Tinder? I feel like everyone's at least tried Tinder at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Tinder is practically synonymous with online dating at this point. But here's the thing. The research revealed that Tinder heavily favors attractive men under 25.
Really? I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's a very visually driven app, but is it really that skewed?
Unfortunately, yes. Looks play a much bigger role on Tinder than on other platforms. It's almost like a mini popularity contest, with the algorithm seemingly prioritizing those with the most swipes and matches.
So if you're a younger guy with a strong selfie game, Tinder might be your kingdom. But for everyone else.
It's important to be realistic about your chances. It doesn't mean you won't find success on Tinder, but you might need to put in more effort to stand out from the crowd.
So maybe focus on crafting a really witty bio or showcasing your personality in your photos.
Exactly. You've got to bring your A game to the Tinder table.
Fair enough. All right, we've got one more app to dissect, Passion. Now, this one stood out to the researchers because it seems to attract a slightly different crowd.
That's right. Passion is a winner for women over 30 and younger men who are looking for more mature partners.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
It seems to have something to do with the app's emphasis on direct communication and a shared desire for genuine connections. It cuts through the fluff and makes it easier to find like-minded individuals.
So it's like a haven for busy professionals who are tired of games and just want to get down to business.
Exactly. And that's something I think we can all appreciate.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got 3 solid contenders for hookup apps that actually work, AFF for those who value honesty, and a massive user-base Tinder for the young and the restless, and Passion for the mature and direct. But before we get too carried away, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, safety.
You're absolutely right. Hookup apps, by their very nature, come with certain risks.
So how do we stay safe while still enjoying the perks of these apps? What did our intrepid researchers recommend?
Well, first and foremost, they emphasize the importance of vigilance. Don't just get swept away by an attractive profile. Look for those little blue check marks that indicate verified accounts.
Good point. A little verification can go a long way in building trust.
And don't be afraid to do a little sleuthing. Use social media to vet potential matches before meeting up in person.
It's like doing a background check before you go on a date. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you do start talking to someone, consider moving the conversation to social media as well. It adds another layer of security.
Right, because then you have more information to work with, and you can get a better sense of who this person really is.
Precisely. And if things progress, consider arranging a video call before meeting up in person.
Ah, the good old video chat. It's like a virtual first date.
Exactly. It's a great way to confirm their identity, build trust, and even assess if there's any real-life chemistry.
Solid advice. So basically, be smart, be cautious, and don't be afraid to do a little detective work before diving headfirst into the world of hookup apps.
Well said. But remember, it's not all doom and gloom. These apps can be a lot of fun, and they can lead to some pretty amazing connections. Just remember to prioritize your safety and trust your gut.
Great advice. So we've covered the top 3 hookup apps, and we've talked about how to stay safe. But there's so much more to unpack here. What are we diving into next?
We'll be right back with part 2, where we delve even deeper into the pros and cons of each app and give you even more tips for finding success in the online dating world. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Love Hackers. Let's get right back to our deep dive. We were just discussing safety, but before we move on, I want to circle back to Adult Friend Finder for a moment. It's more than just a big user base, you know?
Oh, totally.
Mm.
I'm curious, what else did the research uncover about AFF? Did the team find anything surprising?
They did. It turns out that AFF has a really unique feature that sets it apart, a strong emphasis on community and connection.
Mm.
It's not just about, swiping through profiles. There are forums, groups, and even live streams where users can interact with each other.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's almost like a social network for, well, adults who are looking for friends with benefits.
Exactly. And the research suggests that this focus on building connections actually leads to more successful hookups.
Yes.
People feel more comfortable and confident when they've had a chance to, chat and get to know each other a bit beforehand.
That makes a lot of sense. It takes the pressure off that awkward first date, or in this case, hookup.
Right. It's less about judging someone solely on their looks and more about finding a genuine connection, even if it's just for a night.
And speaking of connections, let's shift gears to Tinder. We talk about how it favors a certain aesthetic, but the researchers actually dug into the why behind that.
Oh, I'm all ears. This is where it gets really juicy, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the secret sauce behind Tinder's algorithm?
Well, it seems like Tinder's algorithm is designed to create a sense of scarcity and competition.
Yeah.
By prioritizing users with the most matches and activity, it creates this illusion that everyone is super desirable and in high demand.
Ah, the classic fear of missing out tactic. I see how that would push people to be more active on the app.
Precisely. It also encourages users to focus on their physical appearance because in a sea of seeming perfect people, you want your profile to stand out.
So it's not just about vanity. It's a strategic move to get noticed in a crowded marketplace.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to note that this strategy, while effective for Tinder, might not translate well to other apps, right? Especially apps like Passion, which are more focused on genuine connections and less about racking up superficial swipes.
Exactly. Speaking of Passion, the research revealed something really interesting about how users on that app approach safety.
Oh, tell me more about that. I'm always interested in ways to make online dating safer.
It seems that Passion users are particularly proactive when it comes to vetting potential matches. They're more likely to ask for social media profiles early on, and they often have detailed conversations about boundaries and expectations before meeting up.
So they're basically doing their due diligence to ensure a safe and comfortable experience.
Exactly. And this proactive approach to safety seems to create a more trusting and respectful environment on the app overall.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like they're taking control of their online dating destiny and setting a standard for responsible behavior. Okay, so we've got some great insights into how these different apps work and what makes them unique.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Sometimes even the best app can't guarantee a smooth sailing experience. What happens when things go wrong or when you encounter those inevitable dating app fails?
Ah, yes, the dark side of online dating. Well, the research team actually had some really valuable advice on how to handle those less than ideal situations.
Okay, give me the wisdom. I need all the help I can get.
Well, first and foremost, they stress the importance of communication. If something feels off or someone is making you uncomfortable, don't be afraid to speak up.
Right, like if someone's sending creepy messages or pressuring you to meet up before you're ready.
Exactly. And if someone's behavior is truly unacceptable, don't hesitate to block them or report them to the app. You have the right to protect yourself and your peace of mind.
Absolutely. And what about those awkward moments when you realize you're just not feeling it? Like you've been chatting with someone and you thought there was a spark, but then you meet up in person and it's just crickets.
Ugh, I know exactly what you mean. It happens to the best of us. The key is to handle those situations with grace and honesty.
Okay, how do you suggest doing that? I'm always so afraid of hurting someone's feelings.
Yeah. The researchers recommended keeping it simple and straightforward. You don't need to come up with some elaborate excuse. Just politely express that you're not feeling a romantic connection and wish them well in their search.
Short, sweet, and to the point. I like it. And hopefully they'll appreciate the honesty. But what if you're on the receiving end of that rejection? How do you deal with the sting of being turned down, especially when it's happening in this very public digital space?
That's a great question. It's important to remember that rejection is a normal part of dating, both online and offline. Not everyone is going to be a match, and that's okay.
Right. It's not a reflection of your worth or your desirability.
Exactly. The research team actually had some really helpful tips for bouncing back from rejection. They suggested focusing on self-care, indulging in activities that bring you joy, and reminding yourself of all your amazing qualities.
It's like giving yourself a little pep talk and a virtual hug.
Yay.
We all need that sometimes.
Yes. Absolutely. And remember, every rejection is an opportunity to learn and grow. It helps you refine what you're looking for and get closer to finding that special someone, or at least someone special for the night.
Well said.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The inner workings of these apps, tips for staying safe, and even how to navigate those awkward dating moments. Is there anything else we need to know before we wrap up this deep dive?
You know, there is one more point I'd like to touch on. It's something the research team emphasized throughout their findings, the importance of being true to yourself.
Ooh, I love that. Tell me more.
They found that people who were authentic in their profiles, honest about their intentions, and clear about their boundaries had the most success on these apps.
So it's all about being genuine and owning your desires.
Exactly. Trying to be someone you're not or pretending to want something you don't is only going to lead to frustration and disappointment.
So be yourself, be bold, and be honest. Words to live by, whether you're swiping for hookups or searching for your soulmate. Well, I think we've officially unpacked the world of hookup apps.
Yeah.
But before we sign off, there's one last thing I want to mention.
What's that?
We've talked about the top 3 apps, the pros and cons, the safety tips, and even how to deal with rejection. But the most important thing is to remember that online dating, like any form of dating, is a journey.
It's about exploration, discover, and hopefully a lot of fun along the way.
Exactly. So go forth, my friends, armed with this newfound knowledge and swipe with confidence.
That's right. And remember, we're here to support you on your dating adventures. Now, before we let you go, there's one last thing we need to do.
Welcome back to Love Hackers. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the world of hookup apps, and you don't want to miss these last few nuggets of wisdom.
Right. We've covered the apps, the safety, the good, the bad, but now it's time to talk about, taking things offline, turning those digital sparks into real-life encounters.
Exactly. Because let's be real, the whole point of a hookup app is to actually, hook up.
Precisely. So let's talk strategy. The research team had some fascinating insights into what makes for a successful transition from app to in-person action.
Okay, I'm ready for my masterclass in hookup app success. Lay it on me.
Well, first and foremost, they emphasize the importance of timing. You don't want to rush things, but you also don't want to let the conversation drag on for weeks with no clear end goal in sight.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance for sure. So how do you find that sweet spot?
They found that people who suggested meeting up within the first few days of chatting had a much higher success rate than those who waited longer.
Interesting. So strike while the iron is hot.
Mhm.
But doesn't that seem a little, aggressive? What if the other person isn't ready to meet up that quickly?
That's where the art of subtle suggestion comes in. Instead of directly asking for a date, try hinting at your interest in meeting up. Maybe mention a new bar you've been wanting to try or an event that you think they might enjoy.
Ooh, sneaky. I like it. It's like planting a seed in their mind without coming on too strong.
Exactly. And if they respond positively, then you can go ahead and suggest getting together. But if they seem hesitant, don't push it. Just keep the conversation flowing and try again later.
Makes sense. It's all about reading the vibes and respecting their boundary.
Absolutely. Now, once you've established that mutual interest in meeting up, the next step is to choose the right location.
Okay, so we're talking first date, or should I say first hookup spots. Any recommendations from the experts?
They actually advised against the typical dinner in a movie scenario. It can feel too formal and put unnecessary pressure on the interaction.
Right, because let's be honest, the goal here isn't necessarily to impress them with your knowledge of fine dining or impeccable movie taste.
Exactly. Instead, they recommend opting for a more casual and low-key setting. Something like grabbing coffee, going for a walk in the park, or checking out a local brewery.
The classic coffee date.
I
It's the perfect way to gauge the chemistry without committing to a full-blown meal. And if things are going well, you can always extend the date and grab some food afterwards.
Exactly. And remember, the location should be somewhere you both feel comfortable and safe.
Right, safety first, always.
Yeah.
So we've talked about timing location, but what about actually making the move? Sealing the deal. Do the researchers have any advice on how to navigate that often awkward moment?
They did. And it might surprise you. They found that the most successful hookups were the result of clear and direct communication.
Wait, really? No beating around the bush?
Yeah.
No playing hard to get?
Nope. It seems that honesty is the best policy even in the world of casual dating.
Huh. That's kind of refreshing, actually.
Aye.
So how did that work in practice? What does clear and direct communication look like in this context?
It's about expressing your intentions and desires openly and respectfully. For example, if you're feeling the chemistry and you want to take things further, you could simply say something like, I'm having a really great time with you and I'd love to see where things go.
Straight to the point. I like it. But what if you're not sure if the other person is on the same page? Is there a
Yeah.
way to gauge their interest without, putting yourself out there too much?
The research team had a clever suggestion for this. Pay attention to their body language. Are they making eye contact? Are they leaning in when you talk? Are they touching your arm playfully?
Ah, the classic signs of flirtation.
Yeah.
It's all about reading those nonverbal cues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're picking up on positive signals, then you can feel more confident about making a move. But if their body language is closed off or they seem hesitant, then it's probably best to back off and respect their space.
Right, because consent is always key, no matter what kind of relationship you're pursuing.
Absolutely. Now, I know this might all sound a bit clinical, but it's important to remember that hookups can be incredibly fun and fulfilling when approached with honesty, respect, and a sense of adventure.
Totally. And who knows, maybe a casual hookup could even blossom into something more serious down the line.
It happens more often than you think,
Yeah.
but even if it doesn't, there's nothing wrong with enjoying a no-strings-attached connection with someone you find attractive and interesting.
Well said. So there you have it, folks. Your complete guide to navigating the world of hookup apps. From finding the right app to sealing the deal in real life.
We've covered everything, from choosing a location, to reading body language, to communicating your desires with confidence.
And remember, the most important advice we can give you is this about be yourself, be safe, and have fun.
Because at the end of the day, that's what dating should be about.
We're so glad you joined us for this deep dive into the world of hookup apps. We hope you found it informative, entertaining, and maybe even a little bit empowering.
And don't forget to subscribe to Love Hackers for more dating advice. And be sure to like, comment, and share this episode with your friends.
And until next time, happy swiping. I'm Alex Carter,
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
your dating expert, signing off. Aloven.